that variable is going to contain the updated sum of the cross products. So I'm going to say sum cross equals 0 as an initialization. And I cross. Remember, I cross is the cross product of time periods times present value. So when I got out of this loop, duration set cache is basically just the sum of present values. Sum cross is sum of the cross products. So duration set cache equals sum cross divided by duration set cache. But we will also remember that that's a Macaulay duration. Actually, I'm going to be kind of more explicit about it. Let's make this MacDura. First of all those time periods that I put in are in terms of number of periods, but we're measuring duration in number of years. So let's first convert that to number of years. If it's monthly, when I got out of that loop, the Mac duration is in terms of number of months, but we want to measure it as number of years. So we go back, and finally, all I have to do is take the Macaulay duration and divide it by 1 plus period rate. Okay, we're done. Now let's go ahead and make that calculation. Again, we will check it out, but duration set cache is here. Time range, cache range, interest rate, and frequency. So in this made-up example, it's 2.7 years. Let's actually calculate it. Since I already have the PVs and years, sum product of years with PVs divided by the PV, but that's Macaulay duration, divide the whole thing by 1 plus the period rate. Let's just calculate the difference between the two. It's precisely 0. So we have done the right thing. Even though we're going to write a separate function, which I'm not going to do today, for duration of regular kind of cash flows like a bond or some type of annuity. For example, sometime I may want to know what's the duration of mortgage payments, right? Let's think about a 10-year mortgage payment with annual payments. And I'm gonna pay $100,000 each. Let's calculate the present value of that first. Present set cash. %, and with annual compounding. What? Oh. So paying $100,000 for the next 10 years, its present value of $615, but what is the actual duration? Turns out it's slightly over 4.25 years. You know, if we didn't worry about present value, you know, the average of numbers from 1 to 10 would be 5.5. So on average, on a present value basis, it takes us about 4.25 years to pay back the mortgage. And this is important. You know, if as a bank, I placed a mortgage, I can calculate the effect of interest rates on the value of that mortgage. In this case, each 1 basis points move, which is 0.01%, is going to decrease the value of that by 0.04%, or each 1% if mortgage rates went from 5% to 10% to 11%, value of this mortgage is going to decline by 4.25%, which is a lot of money. I mean, you guys remember where mortgage rates were? Let me see. Summer of 2021, we got a place for my son and his mother in San Diego, and the rates were pretty low. This is an indicative mortgage rate for people with very good credit. So August of 21, we got something around 287. The bottom was around 275. It's 730. So that's 4.5 points increase. If it increased by 4.5 points, that mortgage would have lost about 20% of its value. And that's approximate. When you have a big gap movement like that, the number that you get from duration is approximate. You can calculate the actual by calculating the change in the value and calculate the percentage change, but this gives you roughly what it is. You can also think of that as if interest rates went up by 4.5% from 10%, the amount of mortgage you could afford went down by 20%. Before you could have afforded $1 million house, now it's $800,000 house. Let's stop here for today. As I said, on Wednesday, we're not going to meet here. I'm going to do an offline lecture where I will develop the functions for duration of, regular cash flows, both bonds and mortgages, and there will be applications of how to manage that risk using short-term interest rate futures. I'll see you guys next Monday in person.